Is it time to start Liam Delap? And look, I might be saying it early. I might be jumping the gun, but styles make fights. Chelsea have got West Ham on the weekend. Chelsea suffered a very disappointing draw, actually, against Crystal Palace at home on the weekend. And I'm looking at it thinking already, Chelsea on Friday is a must win. If they have aspirations of going for the Premier League title, like many believe they do, then they have to win this game. And I'm already contemplating Joao Pedro, Liam Delap, who should start on Friday. And it's not because I don't rate Joao Pedro, because I think he's had a phenomenal start to life at Chelsea. 5 goals in 7 games, I believe it is as total, which you cannot complain about. You know, coming in 3 games in, winning the Club World Cup. But then the main package starts. And that was the Premier League on the weekend. And he was quiet. Let me be honest. He was quiet. Chelsea were quiet. They were disappointing. And you're now looking at it thinking, did people overhype Chelsea? Did people say that, you know, they could win the league this season based off the Club World Cup, the signings that they are making with potential in the youth? But was it a bit too early? That was already what I was telling myself. I didn't believe that they were going to win the league, by the way. I haven't said that. I think they would get top 4, so they were in 4th. However, they were saying Chelsea would be a surprise package. Chelsea could win the league. But have we seen already with their draw against Crystal Palace that they're just a little bit short? And that can happen. That can happen, people. And that's fine. You know, Chelsea will learn, grow, and develop again. And I think they'll come on leaps and bounds from this season. And next year, they'll want to be challenging for the title. But look, that's just me saying that and being real. There'll be fans out there saying, look, we want to challenge for the title. And there'll be fans out there that saying, look, let's get top 4. Let's see how far we can get in the Champions League. And let's see how we can do with a domestic trophy. And I think if Chelsea get top 4 and won a trophy, which is an FA Cup or obviously Carabao Cup, or even very going far in the Champions League, I think they've had a good season. They want to just show that they can progress and upscale. And with the players they've got and the money they spent, I get it. And they should be doing that. However, when I look at the 2 strikers that they've brought in this summer, Joao Pedro and Liam Delap, they're 2 different profiles. That is the truth, people. Joao Pedro is more of a facilitating 9. He's a guy that likes to drop in the pockets. He's a guy that likes to be unselfish, you know, help out Esteval, help out Pedro Neto, help out Cole Palmer. And when he clicks and when he plays well, Joao Pedro enables other players to thrive and be better around him. And I think also Joao Pedro with Chelsea now will be better than what he was at Brighton. He's a good player. Joao Pedro is a good player. When he's on form, when he's performing, I think he can be a class player. However, when he's not quite at the races and he's playing as a striker, you're then missing something. You're missing a focal point. You're missing someone that has the grit to get in and score them scrappy goals. He wants to tussle and fight with defenders. You don't really get that from Joao Pedro. And that's why against Crystal Palace on the weekend, where they had a back 5, and obviously Lacroix, Richards, and Guehi, they were kind of able to deal with him quite easily. He didn't really give them a threat. He wasn't really coming in behind. He was dropping deep. He wasn't really getting on the ball enough. And he wasn't able to impact the game the way Joao Pedro and Chelsea fans would have liked him to do on Sunday. And when you look at it now, Chelsea are going into a game against West Ham, who have just lost 3-0 to Sunderland. And I'm looking at West Ham. What do they have in common with Crystal Palace? They play a back 5. They'll have Max Kilman there. They'll have Todibo, and they'll have another defender there. You know, and when you look at West Ham, you're thinking, okay, quite physical defenders, quite dogged in their approach. First home game, the fans are going to be wanting a response from Graham Potter and his men because they're under pressure already. And I'm looking at it and thinking, well, if you start Joao Pedro, is he going to have the impact that Chelsea fans want? Or is it going to be a repeat of the Crystal Palace game, even though Crystal Palace are a better side than West Ham? Or is it a chance to play Liam Delap from the off and say, right, you're going to get 60 or 70 minutes to prove yourself? Because when I look at Liam Delap last year for Ipswich, he liked coming up against physical defenders. He was able to run in behind. He was able to hold the ball up. He was able to use his frame. He's got the old school sort of flavour and style in him. And also, he scored for Ipswich against West Ham last season. And I just think this might be the right game for Liam Delap to start. And now look, I'm not saying drop Pedro because he's bad. I'm saying maybe throw Liam Delap in on a Friday night against West Ham, because this game suits more of a Liam Delap. And look, they have signed him as their first choice striker at the beginning of the window, Chelsea, from Ipswich, because they were like, right, Jackson, you're maybe not going to quite cut it, or you'll be in the squad. But Liam Delap was the first option they went for at Chelsea. Joao Pedro then followed when the opportunity presented himself. And you know what? It's perfect. And I've got two different types of strikers that can rotate, sometimes play together. And, you know, you're in Europe as well, so they're always going to get game time. There's not going to be a number one unless one is really firing and the other one's not. I think it's a time right now at the start of the season where you say, right, you're going to get your opportunity. And if Liam Delap doesn't work out for the first 60 or 70 minutes, then Chelsea can bring him off and Joao Pedro can come on and give them a bit of guile against tired legs. Or you might see it the other way. There might be Chelsea fans watching this right now saying, Ty, you're talking rubbish. Start Joao Pedro. After 60 minutes, if it doesn't work, bring on Liam Delap against tired legs again. Running behind, stretch it, physical, get it into him. Cool, that could work. But I also think at the same time, Chelsea are probably likely to dominate quite a lot of the ball. And I'm thinking if you get opportunities where you want an old school kind of number 9 who's going to get into the box, make it rough and tough for defenders, Liam Delap might really suit this fixture based off playing a back 5. You know, it's not easy playing against a back 5, guys, especially with 3 tall, physical centre-backs and Kilman and Todibo being there as well. Joao Pedro might not find the sort of rhythm in the pockets that he wants to occupy with Souček and Ward-Prowse in front of him. This might need a different approach from Chelsea. This might be a game for Liam Delap to start. I'm so intrigued to see what you guys think in the comments, because I just thought of this randomly today. I was looking at the fixtures and I was like, right, who's playing on the weekend? And I was like, oh, Chelsea the first game. And I was like, well, I've got Joao Pedro in my FPL team and I'm already worried about him. Minutes risk, potential goal scoring risk because he's not an out-and-out goal scorer. And I was like, well, West Ham play a back 5. Is it the perfect time for Liam Delap to start? I do think Liam Delap will score goals for Chelsea as well. I think, you know, he will come good. I think that's a long-term project, and so is Joao Pedro. And I think having 2 different profiles really works, because you do want a player that can facilitate for Cole Palmer, Neto, Esteval, and, you know, give them players a platform to get in behind, score more goals. And Chelsea just look fluid because Joao Pedro is that type of striker, or number 10, that does a bit of the technical ability role, a bit like Roberto Firmino when he was at Liverpool. But at the same time, sometimes you just want someone that's going to put the ball in the back of the net and be a number 9, run the channels, throw it into my chest, let me get Cole Palmer and Neto and other players around me. And it's a big pitch there at West Ham as well, which could also suit Delap. So, yeah, it was just an option that I'm really thinking about, and, you know, considering what Chelsea come off the back of that draw against Crystal Palace, failed to create much. And look, I'm not saying just Joao Pedro was poor. Chelsea were poor. From the back, passing through the lines, it wasn't great. Caicedo and Enzo in midfield, very safe. Nothing was really threatening. They had a couple of glimpses, couple of moments, but how many saves did Dean Henderson have to make? And if Chelsea want to be competing for the top 4 and pushing on for further honours, they need to be winning games like that. So now this makes this game on the weekend a must win. So let's find out what happens. But guys, let me know in the comments. Would you start Liam Delap because of the type of game it could be? Or would you say, no, Joao Pedro deserves to hold his place. It's one game. Chill out, everyone. Then we can bring Delap on. But yeah, just a food for thought. Chelsea fans, let me know what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Bless up.